Hi, my name is Josh. I'm going to talk about building block plugins in this video for the WordPress block editor using plugin machines, something I've been working on for a while. Because WordPress plugin development's gotten a lot more complicated, takes a lot more stuff, and I'm a nerd for that, so I built a thing like this. But when I'm building plugins, I just want to write code. I don't want to mess around with all that stuff. So that's why I built plugin machine. And let's look at building a block plugin here today from scratch. Let's call this like our cats plugin. It's gonna be about cats. Not surprising. One feature of plugin machine is that this little cat here will change color, change into a different kitten every time. So watch this, it's a different kitten now. So just, if I get boring, just look at the cat. So this is a plugin that doesn't exist yet. We're not importing one. Let's go ahead and we're going to choose all the features here. Once the CLI is installed, you can add a block later to your plugin while you're working on it, but you'd also do that all from the UI. So we're going to click save here, and it's going to ask me what kind of features do I want to add. Do I want to do Composer and all the PHP tests? Do I want to have some preset actions and filters or remote updater for the plugin? So if it's a client plugin, I can keep it up to date on their site. I'm just going to go and click blocks. That's it. By the way, if you click on this, it gives you a little information and links out to the documentation that walks through all of this stuff here that we're going to do. So let's click save. And just confirm things like the block namespace and the translation domain. So I'm going to click edit to get into my blocks. I don't have any blocks, so I'll click new blocks. We will call this the cat. Oh, so this is going to be the name. This is going to be part of the actual block name, the identifier, whereas you'll search and display in the block insert with this. So we could have different category, we'll put it in text. I could choose to use PHP for most of it. Still need JavaScript for the editor, but PHP for the callback. Stick to React here, and this is going to set up all the cool React stuff for you. So we'll go back. I could add another block, I don't need to. And another one here. Cool. So nothing else really to set up. So I'm going to go ahead and click on package, because we could package this for development as we're doing now, or create or release something that could get installed on a WordPress site. This is the header stuff. Goes in the main plugin file, the meta. Just note that these plugins are developed for WordPress 5.7 or later. I'll keep to recent versions, but not offering crazy backwards compatibility. Don't use PHP 5. Just don't. I don't support it. You shouldn't either. So here we go. Let's click save. And there's a little information about what to do after download. This will all be in the README. Always read the README. So this downloaded as a zip file, the development stuff. You could go ahead and make a git commit here, as your initial commit. I'm going to go ahead and open this in VS Code. You could use PHP Storm or Sublime, whatever you want. Notepad. I like having it all together. So let's open up the README. Clean up this stuff here. And it's going to tell me to install the JavaScript dependencies. So we'll do that. That'll take a second. I'm going to split my terminal. And I'm going to start up the local development site. That uses a Docker Compose file, so you have to have Composer installed, or Docker and Docker Compose installed. It's all the same installer. And so then you have a file that sets everything up with the database and WP CLI and such. Cool. So local development set up. Everything built. It was installed, so now we can build our blocks with yarn build. This is for development. Not for development. This is like the production stuff. We'll show in a second how to do development. I just wanted to show that we now have these files, the CSS and the JavaScript, and the assets file with our dependencies there. And then in our init file, really just calling one magic WordPress function that loads the block from block.json. This defines the name of the block, including the namespace, the title, description. This is stuff that makes it easier to search for, those files that get enqueued, and our attributes. This gets imported, inside of this PHP function, but also right here. And so it's used with register block type. This is all using API version 2 for the block API, so that's the latest. And we have a save callback in another file. Very simple. And we have our editor callback. This is going to be very similar to the block tutorial in the WordPress block editor developer handbook. The one thing I do that's differently is I split this editor component out of edit. And the reason for that is that I can then include it in tests. If you've ever seen or watched a recording of my WordCamp talk, JavaScript testing in and around WordPress, these tests are very similar. We're testing that editor component. Does it look like right? Does it save the snapshot correct? Let's do the test once here. So we'll look at what the snapshots are. Snapshots are super cool because they kind of freeze what the HTML of your components is. And then in the future, when there are changes, maybe that's okay, right? You're like, that's what I wanted to do, and you commit to that change. Or you go, oops, that was a mistake, and you don't let your test fail. You can also have some tests here to make sure that, this input here, when we change it to new value, it calls this onChange function, this magic jest.fn that lets us write this kind of assertion, what it's been called with, how many times. So that's cool. Let's go ahead and start our development server and go to the README, which will tell us what the URL for local development is. And install WordPress. There is WP CLI configured as well if you want to do that. For all this, you could script it, to install the right name and activate the plugin. Just go ahead and activate this, and we will create a new post just to see what it looks like before we change anything. It's a basic hello world. And so, very simple plugin. Let's make it so it can give us the name of the cat and whether or not they're short hair or long hair. We're going to have to change these attributes, name, and then the other one's going to be a checkbox. We'll call that attribute short hair, boolean, and we'll give it a default of false. So I'm going to change really the structure of this editor. It's okay, we're not too deep into it. I'm going to pass down set attributes and deal with the two different controls and the two different values where it's needed. So that makes this existing control we could use for name. The other props are wrong though. So let's label it. Call it name. And then this is going to have to change attributes.name as its value. And on change, it'll give us a new name. And we can use set attributes. Cool. And then I'm just going to remove this for 1 second and put it inside of a fragment, because that way I can have other elements here. And we'll start on this, except for it should have been a checkbox control. This is going to be to check if it's a short-haired cat or not. So that's going to be that here. And then here, that's not defined anymore, so attributes.name. Let's put this in a fragment. So we get a second line. Well, I didn't really need that, but it's okay. Attributes.shorthair. We'll say short hair. And if not, it'll say long hair. Excellent. And then let's just use this in our save callback as well. Probably would be better to extract that to its own component. Let's create a new post so that way we don't have invalid blocks. Let's make sure we don't have any errors or anything as well. It's always helpful. And as a short hair cat and a long hair cat. Oh, okay, so this looks pretty good. So that's a little bit about creating blocks with plugin machine. You can do all sorts of other types of plugins with more PHP using React in the front end or for admin pages. If you want to learn more, subscribe to this channel. Go to pluginmachine.com and click Request Access to sign up for early access for Plugin Machine. Thanks for watching.